Welcome to Numismatic Vault, the channel where coins aren't just spare change, they're hidden treasures waiting to be found. In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of rare and valuable state quarters. Some of these coins are worth far more than you'd ever imagine, and the best part, they could be sitting in your pocket or coin jar right now. So get ready, because by the end of this video, you might be looking at your change in a whole new way. Top 1. Today we're turning our attention to one of the earliest coins in the U.S. State Quarters program, the South Carolina State Quarter from the year 2000. It's a coin many people have seen in their change, but few realize just how rare and valuable certain versions of it can be. So sit back, listen closely, and enjoy this journey into the history, design, and hidden secrets of this remarkable coin. The South Carolina Quarter was the 8th coin released in the 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 until 2008. This ambitious program honored each of the 50 states with a unique design that reflected its history and heritage. South Carolina's quarter was released in May of 2000, making it one of the earliest issues in the series and a favorite among collectors who were eager to get their hands on every new release. On the obverse side, like all state quarters, you'll find the portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan. But the reverse side is where South Carolina shines. The design features a detailed outline of the state itself, with 3 important state symbols placed inside: the Carolina wren, the sabal palmetto tree, and the yellow jessamine flower. Surrounding these symbols are the inscriptions: South Carolina, the Palmetto State, the year of statehood 1788, and the minting year 2000. Each element carries meaning. The palmetto tree is South Carolina's state tree and a powerful symbol of resilience, going back to the Revolutionary War when palmetto logs were used to build a fort that successfully withstood British cannon fire. The Carolina wren is the state bird, known for its lively spirit and cheerful song. The yellow jessamine is the state flower, representing beauty and grace. Together, these elements highlight the natural richness and cultural pride of South Carolina, making this coin not just money, but a miniature tribute to the state's history and identity. But what makes this quarter truly exciting for collectors is not just its design, but the rarity and special errors that can turn it into a highly valuable piece. Millions of South Carolina quarters were minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and because it was an early release in the series, many were saved by the public. Still, most of these coins are common and worth only face value. The real treasures are the coins that remain in pristine, uncirculated condition, or those with dramatic minting errors. Condition plays a huge role in determining value. A South Carolina quarter graded mint state 67 or higher is extremely rare. These coins must be virtually flawless, with sharp details, bright luster, and no distracting marks. When one of these high-grade examples appears at auction, collectors compete fiercely to own it. Proof versions, struck with polished dies for collectors, are also valuable, especially when they are preserved without scratches or spots. Then there are the errors, which are always thrilling for coin hunters. Some South Carolina quarters have been found with double die errors, where parts of the design, such as the lettering or the bird, appear doubled. Others show off center strikes, where the design is noticeably misaligned, or clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing from the edge. There are also examples of quarters struck on the wrong type of planchet, which makes them even more unique. Each of these mistakes creates a coin that is one of a kind, and collectors love them because of their rarity. Even smaller varieties, such as die cracks that create raised lines or filled dies that obscure details, are appealing to specialists who enjoy finding something unusual among ordinary coins. While not every error is worth thousands, the most dramatic ones can bring in shocking prices at auction. The South Carolina State Quarter is especially interesting because it was issued so early in the program, when enthusiasm was at its peak. Millions of people collected these quarters, but very few thought to look closely for errors or to preserve coins in flawless condition. That's why today, more than 20 years later, the rarest examples are so highly prized. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While most South Carolina quarters are only worth 25 cents, the rarest examples, especially those in perfect mint state condition or featuring dramatic minting errors, have stunned collectors with their prices. One of these extraordinary South Carolina state quarters has been valued at an astonishing $82,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $82,000 for a single 25-cent coin. Imagine finding one of these in your old collection or tucked away in a coin jar. This is the magic of coin collecting. What looks like spare change to one person can turn out to be a life-changing discovery for another. Top 2. We're diving into one of the most iconic coins from the U.S. State Quarters program, the Nebraska State Quarter from 2006. At first glance it may look like just another piece of spare change, but when you look closer at the design, the history, and especially the rare errors and conditions, you'll realize why some of these coins have become incredibly valuable. So sit back, listen carefully, and let's uncover the secrets of the Nebraska Quarter together. The Nebraska State Quarter was released in April of 2006 as part of the celebrated 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008 and changed the way Americans looked at pocket change forever. Each coin highlighted a different state with a unique design on the reverse, while the obverse continued to feature the familiar portrait of George Washington. Nebraska's coin honored its pioneering spirit, its Native American heritage, and its role in the great westward expansion of the United States. The reverse design of this quarter is breathtaking. It features Chimney Rock, a famous natural landmark that became a guiding point for thousands of pioneers who traveled along the Oregon Trail. Rising high out of the Nebraska prairie, Chimney Rock symbolized progress, resilience, and the long journey westward. Alongside it, the design shows a covered wagon pulled by oxen, with a family of pioneers making their way across the rugged landscape. The combination of the rock and the wagon perfectly captures the state's frontier history and the determination of the people who helped shape the nation. The inscriptions include Nebraska, the year of statehood 1867, the year of issue 2006, and the motto, Chimney Rock. Together, these elements make the Nebraska Quarter one of the most artistically appealing coins in the entire State Quarter series. For collectors who appreciate history told through design, this quarter is a miniature work of art. Now, what makes this coin valuable is not just its historical significance, but its rarity in top condition and the fascinating errors that came out of the minting process. Millions of Nebraska quarters were struck at both the Denver and Philadelphia mints, but like with all coins, most went straight into circulation and quickly picked up scratches, nicks, and wear. Finding one in pristine mint state condition, with flawless luster and sharp details, is extremely rare. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified only a small number of these coins at the highest grades, which instantly makes them desirable to collectors. Proof versions, struck for collectors with special dies, also add another layer of interest. These mirror-like coins, when kept in their original packaging and free from spots or damage, hold strong value. But even more exciting are the error coins that slipped through quality control. Some Nebraska quarters have been discovered with double die obverse or reverse errors, where parts of the design, such as the lettering or the covered wagon, appear doubled under magnification. Others have dramatic off-center strikes, where the image is shifted noticeably from the center, or clipped planchets where a piece of the coin's edge is missing. There are also rare examples where the coin was struck on the wrong type of planchet, such as a nickel or dime blank. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly scarce and are considered treasures because they create a coin that should not exist. Collectors pay huge premiums for them because they combine rarity with the storytelling charm of minting mistakes. Even minor die cracks or filled die errors, which leave raised lines or incomplete letters on the coin, are collected by specialists who love hunting for unusual pieces. Each error makes a Nebraska quarter stand out from the millions of ordinary examples in circulation. The Nebraska State Quarter has another advantage: it represents the middle years of the State Quarters program, when enthusiasm was still very high and millions of Americans were filling coin folders. But while people saved common coins, they often overlooked the subtle differences and the rare high-grade examples. That's why today, truly pristine or error-filled Nebraska quarters are so valuable, because they survived unnoticed while the rest were spent and worn down. Now, after learning the story, the design, and the reasons why collectors chase this quarter, it's time for the value reveal. While most Nebraska state quarters are worth only 25 cents, the rarest examples, those in flawless condition or with dramatic minting errors, have reached astonishing prices. One such coin has been valued at an incredible $80,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $80,000 for a single Nebraska state quarter from 2006. That's the power of rarity, condition, and collector demand all coming together. So the next time you come across one of these coins, don't just pass it along, look closely, because you might be holding a piece of history that could change your life. Top 3. We're taking a close look at one of the very first coins released in the legendary 50 state quarters program, the Georgia State Quarter from 1999. While it may just look like another piece of pocket change, this coin can actually be worth far more than you'd ever expect, especially when rare conditions and minting errors come into play. So listen carefully, because this is a story every coin collector and coin lover will want to hear. The Georgia State Quarter was the fourth release in the 50 State Quarters program, which began in 1999 and ran through 2008. This program completely transformed the way people thought about coins. Suddenly, millions of Americans began collecting quarters from each state, and coin folders sold out as people of all ages joined in the hunt. Because Georgia was among the very first coins issued, it holds a special place in the series, and that adds to its collector appeal even today. Let's talk about the design. On the obverse side of the coin, we see the familiar portrait of George Washington, the nation's first president, just as we do on all state quarters. But the reverse side is where Georgia proudly tells its story. The design features an outline of the state, with a peach in the center, the peach being Georgia's most famous symbol, representing its nickname, the Peach State. Surrounding the peach are branches of live oak, the official state tree, symbolizing strength and resilience. At the bottom, you'll see a banner with Georgia's motto, wisdom, justice, moderation. The year 1788 marks the date when Georgia entered the Union, and the year 1999 marks when this quarter was released. It's a beautiful and meaningful design, but the real excitement for collectors comes from rarity and condition. Millions of Georgia quarters were minted in Philadelphia and Denver, and while most are still only worth face value, the rarest examples are those that remain in pristine, uncirculated condition. Coins graded at mint state 67 or higher are incredibly hard to find, and when they appear at auction, collectors often compete to own them. These high-grade coins, with brilliant luster and virtually no flaws, are treasures in the numismatic world, but condition isn't the only factor that makes the Georgia quarter valuable. Some of the most interesting and expensive pieces are those with rare minting errors. For example, double die errors, where parts of the design or lettering appear doubled, make a coin stand out immediately. Off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted away from the center, are also dramatic and highly collectible. There are even examples of Georgia quarters struck on the wrong type of planchet, such as being struck on a blank meant for a dime or a foreign coin. These mistakes create coins that should not exist, and that uniqueness drives their value sky high. Clipped planchets are another fascinating error, where a small section of the coin's edge is missing due to an issue during the blank cutting process. There are also filled die errors, where parts of the design appear faint or missing because debris blocked the die during striking. Each of these errors tells a story about how the coin was made, and collectors love them for their rarity and their uniqueness. Because Georgia was one of the first states honored in the program, people saved these quarters in large numbers. But back in 1999, most collectors were casual hobbyists. They kept coins without paying much attention to condition or subtle errors. That means truly flawless Georgia quarters, or those with dramatic minting mistakes, are far scarcer than most people realize. Over 2 decades later, they've become highly sought-after pieces that serious collectors will pay top dollar to own. The Georgia State Quarter represents more than just a state, it represents the beginning of a national collecting craze that inspired millions of people to look more closely at their pocket change. It is both a historic milestone and, in rare cases, a potential treasure. And now for the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While most Georgia state quarters are only worth 25 cents, certain rare examples in pristine condition or featuring dramatic minting errors have shocked collectors with their price. One of these coins has been valued at an incredible $78,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $78,000 for a single Georgia state quarter from 1999. Imagine finding one of these in your collection, tucked away for years, or hidden in a jar of spare change. That's the magic of coin collecting, you never know when an ordinary coin could turn out to be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Top 4. We're traveling to the Great Lakes State to take a closer look at the Michigan State Quarter from 2004. At first glance, it may look like just another piece of change, but when you understand its design, its history, and its rare errors, you'll realize why this coin has captured the attention of serious collectors and why some examples are worth astonishing amounts of money. So sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy this journey into the Michigan Quarter. The Michigan State Quarter was released in January 2004 as part of the 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008 and became one of the most successful coin programs in U.S. history. Millions of people collected these coins, filling books, jars, and folders with quarters from every state. Michigan's coin was the 26th to be issued, and it proudly celebrated the state's geography and natural beauty. On the obverse side, like all state quarters, you'll find the portrait of George Washington, the nation's first president, designed by John Flanagan. But the reverse design is where Michigan shines. The coin features an outline of the state along with the surrounding Great Lakes, which together form the largest group of freshwater lakes on Earth. The inscriptions include Michigan, Great Lakes State, the year of statehood 1837, and the year of issue 2004. This simple yet powerful design highlights what makes Michigan unique, its connection to water. With more than 40,000 square miles of the state covered by the Great Lakes, Michigan's identity has always been shaped by its geography. For collectors, the design is clean, symbolic, and instantly recognizable, making it one of the more memorable coins in the entire program. But while the design is meaningful, what truly excites collectors is rarity. Millions of Michigan quarters were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver, and most of them were used in everyday circulation. Coins that have been passed from hand to hand for years show scratches, dings, and wear. Those pieces are common and worth face value. The real treasures are the coins that have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. High-grade Michigan quarters, especially those graded mint state 67 or higher, are incredibly rare. These coins have flawless surfaces, sharp details, and beautiful luster. Very few exist at that level, and when they appear at auction, they attract intense competition from collectors who want only the best. Proof versions, made for collectors with mirror-like finishes, are also highly sought after when they remain in their original cases and free of spots or haze. Even more exciting are the errors that slipped through the minting process. Some Michigan quarters have been found with double die errors, where parts of the lettering or outline appear doubled when viewed under magnification. Off-center strikes are another dramatic error, where the design is noticeably misaligned, leaving part of the coin blank. These are rare and always catch the attention of error coin enthusiasts. Other unusual examples include clipped planchets, where a small curved section is missing from the edge of the coin, and wrong planchet strikes, where the quarter was mistakenly struck on a blank meant for another denomination such as a nickel. These rare minting mistakes create coins that should not exist, and because of their scarcity, they command huge premiums in the collector market. There are also more subtle varieties, such as die cracks that leave raised lines across the coin or filled dies that cause parts of the design to appear faint or missing. While not as dramatic as a major error, these quirks still make a coin stand out from the millions of ordinary examples. Collectors love the challenge of finding these unusual pieces, and that demand keeps their value strong. Michigan State Quarter also has an advantage because it represents the halfway point in the State Quarters program. By 2004, the series was already incredibly popular, and millions of people were saving the coins. But most collectors back then were casual hobbyists. They often didn't know to look for errors or to protect their coins in pristine condition. That means the rarest pieces, flawless examples or dramatic errors, have become even harder to find over time. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While most Michigan State quarters are worth only 25 cents, the rarest examples in exceptional condition or with striking mint errors have reached jaw-dropping prices. One such coin has been valued at an astonishing $76,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $76,000 for a single Michigan State quarter from 2004. Imagine checking your old coin jars, only to discover that a piece of pocket change could actually change your life. That's the thrill of coin collecting. Every coin tells a story, and some of those stories are worth a fortune. Top 5. We're focusing on one of the most talked about coins from the 50 State Quarters program, the Kansas State Quarter from 2005. At first glance, this coin may look simple, but if you look closer, you'll discover unique features, rare minting errors, and remarkable stories that make it a favorite among collectors. So listen carefully and enjoy, because this is one coin you'll never see the same way again. The Kansas quarter was released in August of 2005 as part of the State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008 and introduced 50 different designs celebrating each state's history and culture. Kansas was the 34th state honored, and its quarter perfectly captures the essence of the Sunflower State. On the obverse side, we see the classic portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan but modified for the State Quarter series. The reverse is where the Kansas story comes alive. The design features the majestic American bison, also called the buffalo, standing tall on the plains. Next to the bison is the state flower, the sunflower, with the words, Kansas and 1861, the year Kansas entered the Union, along with 2005, the year of issue. The imagery is powerful and deeply symbolic. The bison represents strength and resilience, a reminder of the wild frontier days and the natural heritage of the Great Plains. The sunflower, bright and hardy, symbolizes growth and the nickname, the Sunflower State. Together, these elements create a design that feels bold and distinctly American, making the Kansas quarter one of the most recognizable and admired coins in the series. But what really excites coin enthusiasts is not just the design, but the rarity and the errors that have made some Kansas quarters incredibly valuable. Millions of these coins were minted, both in Philadelphia and Denver, and the vast majority are still only worth face value. However, certain examples are worth thousands of dollars, and even more, because of their condition or their minting mistakes. One of the most famous errors on the Kansas quarter is the "In God We Rust" variety. Due to a fill die error, the letter T in the word trust sometimes didn't strike properly, leaving the phrase to read, "In God We Rust." This mistake became widely known and highly collectible, making it one of the most sought-after state quarter errors. While many of these coins exist, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is extremely rare, and those are the coins that bring top prices. Other Kansas quarters show doubling in the design, known as double die errors, where certain letters or features appear doubled when examined closely. Off-center strikes, where the design is shifted away from the center, are also dramatic and valuable. There are even examples of clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing, and wrong planchet errors, where a Kansas quarter was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination. These unusual pieces are treasures to collectors because they represent a unique mistake in the minting process. Condition is another huge factor in determining value. A Kansas quarter graded mint state 67 or higher is extremely hard to find. Coins with flawless surfaces, full mint luster, and sharp details are rare survivors, since most coins entered circulation and quickly picked up scratches, marks, and wear. Proof versions, struck specially for collectors, also hold value when preserved in perfect condition. The Kansas state quarter stands out because of its combination of strong design, fascinating errors, and collector demand. Even though millions of people collected state quarters during the program, very few saved them in the highest grades or recognized error coins when they saw them. That's why today, nearly 2 decades later, these rare pieces can command shocking prices at auction. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the value reveal. While most Kansas state quarters are worth only 25 cents, the rarest examples, especially those in flawless condition or with dramatic minting errors like the famous "In God We Rust" variety, have been valued at an incredible $74,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $74,000 for a single Kansas state quarter from 2005. Imagine checking your old coin jar and discovering that what looks like an ordinary quarter could actually be worth a life-changing amount of money. That's the thrill of coin collecting. Hidden treasures can appear in the most unexpected places. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the story of the Kansas state quarter. If you enjoyed learning about this coin and want to discover more hidden treasures in American change, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and remember, you never know when the next coin you find might be worth a fortune.